Welcome back, guys. And today we're going to be going over a completely new topic. Today's topic is, should the rich be taxed more? So the first side we're going to be looking at is yes, of course the rich should be taxed more. So you may be wondering, why should the rich be taxed more? So the key driving factors for increased taxation on the rich include the creation of an equal society through equitable distribution and taxation, and also benefited government services for everyone. But how would these things be achieved through the taxation of the rich? So first of all, there's evidence to suggest that increased taxation on the wealthy could have a number of positive impacts. An example of this is that higher taxes on the rich could help reduce income inequality and promote social mobility. A study published in the Journal of Economic Perspectives found that countries with more progressive tax systems, which place a greater burden on the wealthy, tend to have lower levels of income inequality and higher rates of intergenerational mobility. In addition, higher taxes on the rich could provide more resources for government programs and services that benefit the general population. A report by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities found that higher taxes on the wealthy can help fund investments in education, healthcare, infrastructure, which can all have long-term economic and social benefits. The government also needs to keep in mind that the key element of taxing the rich is right there in the words. The government needs to ensure that there are much less loopholes in the taxation system than there currently are. Right now, about 70% of U.S. equity income goes untaxed at the individual level, and the taxable share of U.S. corporate equity has declined dramatically in recent decades. The top companies on the planet, as well as their owners, have been able to abuse the current tax system by finding intricate ways to minimize their payment of taxes. A common method of doing so is the tax haven, where a country offers foreign businesses and individuals minimal or no tax liability for their bank deposits. And companies are able to save incredible amounts of money in doing so. If governments were to eliminate this, a much more stable, equitable society could be set in place. Finally, taxing the wealthy at a higher rate could incentivize wealth creation through much more productive means, rather than simply accumulating wealth through inherited or unearned income. Overall, there is a strong case for increased taxation on the wealthy as a way to promote a more equitable and prosperous society. The second side we'll be looking at argues that the rich should not be taxed more. So the driving factor against the taxation of the rich is that the wealthy will always find a way to avoid paying what's owed. Companies like Starbucks lose money funding coffee shops in countries with lower tax rates just to avoid paying the higher tax rates of countries like the US. Instead of raising the tax rates of our country, the government should work to assure that these loopholes are much less accessible to these large companies so that they have to pay what they owe in the countries that they owe them to. Increased taxation on the wealthy may also lead to capital flight, as people with high levels of wealth may choose to move their money to lower tax jurisdictions, as other larger companies have. This could easily result in a loss of capital and investment for the country imposing the higher taxes. So another key point that many people have made is that the rich are deserving of the money that they make. There are many people that have studied for countless years or that work multiple jobs to earn the money that they earn. And with the increased taxation, since the top percentile will always find a way to avoid their taxes, the burden will most likely be placed on these people who have worked so hard. Instead of penalizing the top earners, the government should focus on raising the lower income citizens. And this can be done by helping provide more jobs and finding ways to provide for those who don't earn as much. With a taxation system that looks to diminish the achievements of those who have worked hard for their money, there is a chance that innovation and entrepreneurship could severely decrease, as people will be scared of the incredible tax rates that are associated with success. A study published in the Journal of Public Economics found that higher taxes on the wealthy may lead to a reduction in the number of new businesses being created, as we can see on the graph on the left. This could have negative implications for job creation and economic growth. Another study published in the American Economic Review found that higher taxes on the wealthy could also lead to reduced economic growth and lower levels of investment. The study analyzed data from a number of developing countries and found that those with the higher top marginal tax rates tended to have slower economic growth and lower levels of capital formation. So here's my opinion on the subject. So I don't think taxes need to be raised, but the large companies and top earners need to be justly accounted for by the tax system. It is unfair that they are able to pay a much lower tax rate simply because they are able to afford the loophole. Governments need to find a means to tax all people fairly, and in doing so, create a much more equitable economic environment. Thanks for watching.